Hey Lloyd, how are you?
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm great. What are your thoughts on the new talent and pieces that this team added, and how much more competitive do you think it makes this team moving into the season?
Um, a lot of that remains to be seen. I think on paper, you're excited about um, the follow through of the plan. We went into this hoping to get some good free agents and hoping to have a nice young draft pick to add to our young core. And really excited about the guys that are here and the wealth of experience, the versatility, and just adding some experience with some young guys. So Um, I imagine we'll be competitive, but that's going to be up to us and what we define as competitive.
Next question from Chris Kirschner.
Hey Lloyd, what are the challenges in managing a roster that is 10 to 12 deep now, where all these guys are probably going to expect playing time?
Well, I think in the beauty of sport, I'd be more disappointed in a guy that doesn't really find disappointment in not playing than trying to balance out the expectations. I think all of our guys expect to play. I don't think they all look at it and say, "Oh, I'm not playing because this guy's here now." I think they're all that's part of defining competitiveness, and we're going to have an environment that really speaks to that. But the other side of it is in team sport, understanding when you do have a roster that has depth. What are the sacrifices that are needed in order to progress and move forward? And we have to define that as well. When you add and you enhance your roster and you add the versatility, the experience, the depth, everyone's got to take a sacrificial part in that as well.
Next question from Zach Klein at WSB.
Coach, what was your first impressions the very first time you saw Rajon on the court, and how do you think he can help you guys this year?
Sit down more during the course of the game because you just add a wealth of experience and knowledge. And, I think any coach wants to – I always tell our guys, I want to empower you. I want to put you in a position where you can make the plays and you can make the decisions, and he brings that. That's probably his greatest skill set, is his ability to make decision and make plays because of his knowledge. And so I get to sit down a little bit more knowing that and knowing that not only is he bringing the experience and the knowledge, but he's passing that on. He's putting our guys in position to where they can just maximize what they do. And so that allows me to just say, hey, you guys are empowered. This is what we work on every single day. But when the games occur, you guys can go out and run it. I think that's a testament to who he is and who he's been throughout his career. But I think it's really the strength is going to be how he can transfer that information to others.
We will go to Steve Hummer from the AJC.
Yeah, hi, Lloyd. Another Rajon question. He's kind of renowned for his on-court intellect. Whoops, there. Are you all there? I think I broke up there. He's renowned for his on-court intellect and his ability to know what you're running almost as well as you know. There we go. Do you have some anecdotes about that? Maybe coaching against him and watching him do that.
No, I mean I don't have anything specific against him. I think we all kind of understand. There's a short list of guys in the league that, especially being a head coach, are always looking over at me throughout the course of the game. And he's on that. Chris Paul, Rajon, DeAndre Jordan is the other, PJ Tucker. Those guys are always looking. LeBron does it. They look over to see what you're calling because they know your playbook. And he and I had a conversation the other day, and I said, well, here's how I try and manipulate you guys. I just give you a part of it, and you can't really run with it, and then we can run our offense after the fact. And so when you're empowering, now that he's on our side, I can empower him to do the same thing. But he's always been one of those guys that you're just conscious of. He's trying to steal your plays so he can get a leg up on it defensively of how he can blow it up or take it away. And so, again, his ability to do that is great. His ability to transfer that to the rest of our guys so that they can do it is even more beneficial.
Thanks.
Terrell Thomas.
Hey, Coach Pierce, how you doing today?
Good.
You added another great basketball mind to the coaching staff during the offseason with the addition of Nate McMillan. Can you talk to me about or give us a few details on what some of you guys' game plans have been like and just how it's been picking each other's brains and sharing ideas with one another?
We haven't played any games yet, so there's no game plans.
Are you devising anything together?
We're meeting, and it's the beauty of the preseason. What we do as coaches in this industry every year, normally in the month of September, is you sit down every day and you have long meetings that really, you're talking about the stuff you already know, and you're trying to reinvent yourself and reinvent a side pick and roll, which really it isn't. But hopefully what you get is you get some new tidbits and you get some new nuances. And obviously with Nate, he's been a head coach for over 15, 16 years. There's some drills and some terminology and some things that can refresh us, and we can add to him as well. He's looking at our offense right now, and he's looking at how we teach and how we work with our guys. And he's seeing us grab guys individually and really just kind of break down stuff. And he's just been amazed at what we're doing, and we're trying to catch him up so that he can now add and implement to what we're doing as well. And so they're just big brainstorming sessions right now, but you can't devalue that wealth of experience that he has and that he brings to us.
Thank you, Coach.
We'll go back to Sarah.
Lloyd, how do you try to generate the most amount of chemistry, the most amount of team chemistry that you can in the very short amount of time that you have? Just considering how much roster turnover there's been and how compressed this preseason is.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is probably the last part, how compressed the preseason is. I think the turnover is just natural and normal on most teams. Whether, we got 9 new guys, including our two-ways. But I think in general, every year you're looking at adding and having different players on your roster and then trying to balance out what you've done in the past and what you can do with the new guys and add them and put them into it. What's really different is there's been no time to even get to know some of these guys, more or less add them in and start working with them. And so having a day of individual work and being able to sit and talk to these guys and them see each other in the building has been great. But we're in the same situation that everyone else is in. We're happy that our guys are finally here and that we have a roster, and we have to make sure that, and I've said it before, we have to win every single day that we have when we're in this building, which means we've got to maximize what we're teaching. We have to maximize how we're teaching. We can't waste any moments going through the motion. Everything's got to be pointed. Everything's got to be aligned. The beauty of it is when you're dealing with a Rajon and a Danilo and you're dealing with a Bogey, those guys are pretty smart and they played a lot of basketball and they pick things up extremely quick. And then the guys that we've had that are returning, they already know most of our terminology and our information. So you feel confident and comfortable in that regard.
Next question from Jeff Schultz.
Well, yeah, Lloyd, following that up, as the team is acquiring players and you're sitting and watching this, are you already thinking of combinations and potential rotations in your mind before you even see these guys on the court? And how long should anybody sort of expect that you as a coach are going to sort of reach a comfort zone in terms of how to use all these pieces?
I think if anybody is planning to be comfortable in this season, then you've got the wrong approach. And I say that because we don't have a schedule yet, and our season is starting in 3 weeks. We don't know what the routines are going to be like, and our season is starting in 3 weeks. And so being comfortable while uncomfortable, is really kind of the goal. We have to be adjustable. We have to be versatile. We have to adapt to a new type of season. And that goes to the same with our players and our roster. We don't know what's going to happen this year, but we've got to be ready for anything that comes our way. And when you add a ton of veteran experience, you look at a Solomon Hill who just came out of the finals as well. You know, Rajon was there, Solomon was there as well. And that shows that both of those guys spent, I don't know what the numbers were, 4 to 5 months in Orlando in a bubble. They've adjusted and adapted pretty well. They can transfer that information to the rest of our guys to help us navigate this season. But as I look at the roster, I know what I have. I have to learn their tendencies. I have to learn where they've been effective, where they've struggled offensively and defensively, and just constantly try and put the pieces together. A guy like Chris Dunn, who is a plus defender in any coverage. But then you go and look at, he doesn't switch very well on defense. You know, he's just not a guy that's used to switching. He likes his matchup, and he's pretty damn good at his matchup. And our league is a switch league. And so how do you balance those things out? Well, you got to figure it out through reps. You know, how will he and Cam coexist defensively? Can he learn how to switch and still be effective? You know, some of those elite defenders, they lock into their matchups and they shut it down, and that's why they are who they are. But his adaptability will be something like that. We got to go across the board with everybody. You know, Gallo at the 4 and the 5. Can he play the 3? I don't know. John at the 4 and the 5. Can they coexist? I don't know. But those are the questions that I'll answer and will get answered. But that's the beauty of the job.
Jamila Johnson.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good.
So switching gears a little bit, you and the Hawks organization have been instrumental in early voting provided by State Farm Arena. And now with the runoffs coming up, early voting's provided again, and also adding Mercedes-Benz there. What has it been like to see that kind of impact had for voting and for allowing, or at least permitting, that people have that option?
Exhausting. You know, it's still going on. I got MSNBC in my office behind me right now, and you're still hearing about recounts and everything else that could possibly still be happening about an election, and we still have a runoff to come up in January. So it's exhausting because, you know, no matter what you do, there's still so much work to be done. And I think everyone needs to understand that. That's not just in the elections, it's just in general. I've said all along, what are we going to do after November 3rd? And obviously we're still dealing with November 3rd. We can't even get to the next level of solutions because we're still dealing with the previous level. So I'm excited. I think we've done a tremendous job. I think we've been a tremendous example of, you know, what you can do with leadership, what you can do to uphold your civic duties and responsibilities, to really be a part of change, be a part of solutions. And I think us as an organization, Tony and Jamie and their leadership, Steve Koonin and his forward thinking, and then our organization coming together to really just kind of volunteer, you know, and see the people down there to volunteer, to give up their time, to really commit to the election in November. I think it's been unbelievable to see the effect, the impact, the positivity, but then also to see a lot of other arenas do the same thing. But to be a part of it again really shows our city's willingness to be a part of this change that we need in providing voter participation seamlessly, effortless,ly and without any issue, the way that State Farm has done it, to see Mercedes-Benz get involved. And I'm just happy to be a part of the organization. I'm happy to be a part of something that's really made a lot of people excited and happy to get down there and vote. And hopefully we continue to do that past the election as well.
Next question from Ray Gleer.
Muted, Ray. There we go.
Hey, there are more and more elite athletes, you know, not recovering from COVID-19. Is it just risky to be playing basketball right now?
I hope not. I understand there is a risk involved. I think we all understand that. I think there's a risk involved in just in our society. You know, there's a responsibility we all have to stay smart and socially distance and wear our mask and do what we can to not only protect ourselves, but more importantly, protect others. But we also have to go about whatever it is we do. You know, some people are essential and need to be at work. We have families and we need to, you know, I have a 2-year-old daughter that we're trying to figure out how to occupy her time all the time, and do it at home and do it at parks and things of that nature. And people have to go to work and they have to provide for themselves. And this is our job, and we're doing everything possible to make the facility safe. And we're trying to abide by every rule and protocol that's put in place, to not only protect each other, but to be able to play basketball. And so there's a risk in all of our lives and everything we're doing. And this is just part of our lives. We're basketball players and coaches and an organization, and we're doing everything that we should to stay safe and protected.
Thank you.
We'll go to Edwin Powell from Hawksbeat.
What's up, Coach? I wanted to ask you specifically about DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish. Going from year 1 to year 2, obviously with a deeper roster, there's going to be a little bit more competition. Just wanted to know what your expectation is for those two guys from going from year 1 to year 2, having to be a little bit more competitive environment now.
You answered your own question. It's a little bit more competitive. And there's really, and I'm not being a smart ass, there's really nothing else to say other than it's going to be a little bit more competitive. And that's a good problem to have. And, you know, the least competitive is going to have issues. The most competitive is really going to thrive.
Thank you.
We are back to Chris Kirshner.
Since you've been in Atlanta, not skipping steps has been a focal point for this organization. Do you still feel like the steps are being followed as you guys envision them to be?
Absolutely. You know, we've drafted 7 players in the last 3 years, 4 years, or 8 if you had, you know, the year before I got here with John. We've built through the draft, and that next step was to position yourself for free agency or trades. And, you know, I think we hit a home run in free agency in terms of having the money and having the options and going after guys that we thought would be a part of our next step. And so I think absolutely we haven't skipped a step. You know, we're going to grow and develop our young guys, and we're going to be as competitive as we're going to be really competitive this year, and we're going to keep leveling up what we define as being competitive. But this is the necessary step, and this was all part of the plan.
We will go back to Steve Hummer.
Yeah, hi, Lloyd. First, an observation. I notice it's hard to tell on this Zoom thing. You have a little more gray in your beard now, and you're welcome to come over to the club whenever you'd like.
I got a 2-year-old.
Yeah, is that the
we're
cause?
in a pandemic.
Yeah. Mine was an earthquake in '89.
There you go.
In San Francisco. But anyway, imagine this is the longest span that you've had in quite a while where you haven't coached a game. And I was wondering how much that you have missed that competitive venue, and how do you think your team is going to react to having been away from that for a prolonged period of time?
You know, you miss the sport. You miss sport in general. You miss being in the gym. You miss the crowd, our fans. You miss being a part of the practices, for me, more importantly, because that's really where you get to connect, see our guys grow. But again, there's nothing normal about this year, and there's nothing normal about why we've been away. And I think at the core of it, there's so much going on that I miss it for selfish reasons, but I also feel like there were a lot of things that we needed to really get straight. I had to protect my family, and there's a lot in our world that constantly consume you. And so sport is great to be back, but I think we can't move on from the racial injustice, the COVID issue that we're dealing with, and trying to remain and stay diligent. It puts it in perspective. You miss basketball because you miss basketball, but you also understand, and from a perspective standpoint, there are other priorities that are very much at the forefront. And I think dealing with that doesn't make you say, well, I wish I could just go back to the gym and play basketball and forget that. I'm not there yet. Everything is still a priority off the court as it is on the court.
Next question from Zach Klein.
Coach, assuming everybody stays healthy, how surprised and disappointed would you be if you're not playing postseason basketball?
Assuming everyone is healthy, assuming everyone isn't healthy, I think that's the goal for us regardless. When you speak about our depth and you add to our depth, you have options. We should feel comfortable missing a beat or missing a guy, and we probably are going to in this year. We're going to miss people at times, but I don't think that undermines or undercuts our expectations to get into postseason. I don't think that undermines our expectations to be as competitive as we can. We didn't go into free agency and take this next step to not put pressure on ourselves, to not, really try and advance. And we all understand advancing is postseason. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Advancing is postseason. And so, I'm not going to limit what I think postseason is for us. And I think when you talk about being competitive, the forefront of competition and having the guys that we have, that's always going to be at the forefront. We expect to win. We expect to be competitive. And I expect to see that on the practice court every day. And then we're going to define who we are and what we are as we move forward.
Charles Odom from the AP.
I'm guessing all managers and coaches in every sport do this, but I can only imagine that as every new name was added to your roster, you started coming up with lineups and depth charts in your head. How long is it going to take for you in a very abridged preseason to figure out the right mix? And is this a pleasant dilemma for you?
The mix, I think, every game's going to present a different challenge. How long? I have till December 22nd.
Okay, I think we might have a question from Sekou Smith.
Yeah, Lloyd, you mentioned, guys being uncomfortable and, coming off the longest NBA season on record. You got 9 new faces, different expectations. Does it change the calculus for you and for all coaches, I would imagine, given the circumstances that everybody will be dealing with this season, just in terms of implementation, when you feel like you hit a certain point in the season, when, you want to start on whatever's next in your evolution of how you want to grow a team?
No, I think, and I'm probably going coach talk a little bit, you take it one game at a time. And I think when I say I'm being comfortable in that uncomfortable setting, COVID can really knock 2 guys out on game day, and we have to adjust then. I'm sure we're all aware of that. And so it truly will be one game at a time. How do we prepare for this game as best that we can? How do we remain competitive, and how do we remain next man up? We've always preached that in this sport. Guys get hurt, guys roll ankles, guys have hamstrings, and then the next guy needs to step up. Brandon Goodwin won us 2 games, I believe, last year, just being the step-up guy. And that mentality has to carry over even greater. But I think we also have to understand, and that's talked about sacrificing and sharing in each other's success. That's going to be a big part of our season, is how do we support each other and share in someone else's success. That's the true testament of a team, especially in a very uncomfortable year. But for me, I have to go at it the same way. We got new guys, but we can't skip steps. We can't just come out on day one of our practice and think we're advanced. We still have to teach. We still have to organize. I use the term organized chaos. If you take out organized, it's just chaos, and we don't want to be chaos because we have a lot of good players. You take out chaos, I think if we're organized, our team will figure out how to be pretty good and pretty competitive. And so if we can blend the two, give them a little empowerment, let them run around a little bit, but under some very organized structure, they'll figure out how to be effective and be pretty good because we've got some high-level character and competitive guys. But for me, it's how do I best prepare this team on a day-to-day basis in practice so that they can carry over to the court and do what they do. And I think we have enough guys that are capable of doing what they do at a high level.
Back to Sarah Spencer.
Lloyd, last year was obviously such a young team. You still got quite a young core. Those guys may have to compete for minutes more this time around, but they'll also have a lot of veterans to learn from, veterans who have playoff experience, have played a lot of meaningful minutes, that kind of thing. How much do you think that will be a boost for the young guys like Cam, Kevin, DeAndre, Trey, whoever, as they continue to grow?
This is why we play the sport. It's, to be given something and to not really, earn it is the worst lesson you can have. And I think, we're all going to get opportunities, and we all have had opportunities. And then you always want to advance from those opportunities. I think every young player has been given some opportunity, and some are ranged higher, some are a little bit lower, and you want to keep helping them there. But I think the biggest challenge of it all is, how difficult is this game? How hard is it to win, and how hard is it to compete on a nightly basis? And we're going to see that on a daily basis from a practice standpoint. And so this is part of their growth. The young guys have played, they have game experience. That was part of the plan. And now it's time to compete at a higher level, and they've got competition internally, and we'll have fun with it. But this is part of advancing. It isn't just show up because you're good or you've been given an opportunity. It's earn every part of it. And we'll have some guys going to have some off nights, and that's opportunities for others to step in. And some guys are going to be rolling, and that's opportunities to have to sit back. But that's the beauty of a team, and that's my job to put it all together.
Next to Raphael Haynes.
On LP. My question is, can you talk about what an honor it was to be listed within the National Basketball Social Justice Coalition, and then what can we expect from that?
I don't really look at it as an honor, because I'm not taking any credit for anything. I think I'm proudly doing my part to be a part of something that I think the NBA is committed to. We haven't met. We have a meeting, I think, on the 15th. And, from there, we'll figure out what necessary steps we can take. But I don't take it as an honor to be on it. I feel like everybody should be on it in some capacity or some form of leadership or some form of commitment. That to me is really what the role is. How do we encourage other people, ourselves and our league specifically, to do more? And so that's what I'm charged with. That's what I'm challenged with. I don't take any pride or honor in doing it. I feel like it's a necessary step. I'm glad to be included. I look forward to the work and the meetings, and I look forward to challenging everyone involved to do more.
Back to Jeff Schultz.
Hello, you touched on this topic a little bit, but your first 2 years, you had a lot of young players, new coach, you're coming in, you're obviously trying to establish.
They're still young.
Yeah, they're still young, but they were younger. You're trying to establish your the way you want to do things and your agenda. This year, you obviously have some veterans coming in. I'm just wondering, your position as coach or your daily routine or mindset or what you have to get, the way you have to go about your job? Has it changed this year because you have more proven players on the roster this year?
I think it's a really good question, and my simple answer is no. But I think, to Chris's question earlier, this is a necessary step for us. This was, we haven't skipped a step, but this was part of the steps that we were willing and going to take. You weren't just going to draft top 5 picks for 10 straight years. You're going to move forward, and we've moved forward. But I'm not doing anything differently. I think what helps me, as I said, I can sit down more, is we have more players that have game experience that will provide input to me that I can challenge a little bit greater, that will help the young guys position themselves to be successful a little bit better. And so what I get to do is I get to do what I've always done, coach what I've always want to coach, and I have a little more help. I've got a Nate McMillan and a Melvin Hunt and a Chris Gent in their assigned lanes. And I've got a Rondo and a Gallinari and a Solomon Hill and a Tony Snell that have a lot of NBA experience. And so there's less for me to do because I have more voices that are speaking. My job is to make sure we're organized and we're together and we're constantly getting better. And that's why I say we have to win every single day that we come into this building. But I have a lot more help in this building.
Thanks.
Chris Kirschner.
Do you feel there's enough defensive talent on this roster now to see a positive difference on that side of the floor?
There's enough talent on this roster, and I think that's the challenge. It always comes down to, like I mentioned, Chris Dunn's one of the top defensive players, for guards in our league. Clint Capella's been a really good defender. We know what our 2 wings are capable of doing. None of it works if all 5 guys aren't on the same page. This league isn't about can you guard 1-on-1. It's about can you as a team be a great first shot defense, limit second chance opportunities, keep teams from getting out and scoring easy in transition and on the glass, and make every shot tough. That's a 5-man defense. And it's really about being connected, not necessarily who you are. It's great, as we always talk about, anytime you add value and you add talent, that's great. But it's what do you do with it? Can we get on the same page? And so I'm not going to be focused on the individual. I'm more focused on the team coming together on that side of the floor.
Just a few more. First from Ray Gleer.
Lloyd, Chris Dunn seemed like a really good get for you guys, considering your needs and his profile. Can you talk about him a little bit defensively, and whether you were surprised or not you guys were able to get him?
No, we're Atlanta. This is the new free agent destination. So everybody wants to come to Atlanta, and that's how we're going to keep it. And he's one of the new exceptions to that. He wanted to be here, and we were fortunate to have him here. He does fit a bill for us. He's tough. He's competitive, and I don't have to argue with him during the course of games anymore because he's on my side. He's been a nightmare for us defensively and competitively. He and I know you guys want to talk about he and Trey. He and I have gotten into it during the course of our battles, and that speaks to his competitive nature. I love it. And again, the word compete is going to come up often. And the fact that he and I were on the opposite end of it, I respect it. I love it. I respect it. And I'm excited to have him a part of it in our building.
You going to make him run laps?
What's that?
You going to make him run laps now that you're the boss?
Nah, he probably going to make me run laps. He's a competitor. These guys are tough. The conversations have been great. Bogey told me he wanted to fight me every day. I love it. I love the energy. I love the competitiveness. You got to think of the backgrounds and how these guys grew up and how they played. They all want to compete. That's the beauty. And I mean that when we say this is a free agent destination, this is where people want to be. This is what we were trying to create. Bogey's excited to be here. Chris is excited to be here. But that's their competitive side. They know that we can do something special here, and they're excited to be a part of it. And I told them to hold me equally as accountable as I'm going to hold them.
Back to Chris.
Do you feel like there's an added importance of getting this team to the playoffs this season on yourself?
Added importance?
Mm-hmm.
No.
And why is that? What do you say?
I've already talked about the playoffs. I don't think there's added or importance.
Next question.
For me, I don't add anything to me. I'm the same guy all the time. I don't add or subtract. I know what my vision is from day one. So I don't add.
We'll go back to Sarah.
Lloyd, with the amount of depth you guys have on this team now, are you happy with the amount of maybe flexibility that can give you and even creativity when creating lineups, or just the way you can approach the game with so many guys that you can deploy?
I think in any sport, you want to have the ability to do everything. Can you shoot? Can you pass? Can you rebound? Can you defend? And so if you feel you don't, then, you try and address it. But I think we've gotten closer, and it remains to be seen. But, we hope and we think we have versatility, and I'm sure we'll have some holes and some gaps, and we'll have to address what those are. But right now, everybody's got a clean slate, and you want to approach the season just having a clean slate, trying to figure out who you are and what you're capable of. And then we'll figure out, we're going to have some holes and gaps. We're going to have some slippage. We're going to have some miscommunication. We're going to miss some shots. And that's why you work every day. And that's why you have to win the day, is those things come up, and how do you address them and how do you respond? I asked Gallo, why were they successful in OKC? And he said, we lost close games early. It was the biggest thing that helped them. They were able to communicate and then learn from it. And so it's just part of sport. That's the beauty of sport. You got to be, if you're as a competitor, you got to understand that you're going to go through something. You have to figure out how you react to when you go through something. And that's what I'm looking forward to. How do we respond all the time?
Thank you.
And today's final question will come from Raphael Haynes.
Coach, you talked about the versatility, and you got a rookie in Onyeka Okongwu who's versatile, seeing him handle the ball, defense. What other, attributes you see in him and what you like about him?
I'm excited. I think with all our guys, you get to look at each guy and just be excited about, who they are and how you can help maximize who they are. A kid's never played an NBA game. He's not on the court yet. He's going to be big eyes trying to figure out the speed of this game. But when you watch his film, he is explosive. He's got a quick second jump. He's got a quick first jump. He gets out of pick and rolls, similar to John, where he can get behind the defense effectively. He knows where to be defensively. It's going to be faster and bigger and quicker at this level. So he's going to have to learn how to be a part of that 5-man defense as well. It isn't just going to naturally him be an elite defender, because I know that's what the reports say. He's got to learn how to be a team defender in NBA sets against NBA players. And there's an adjustment period there. But I think that quickness, that quick twitch that he has, that second jump, that ability, that some of those things you can't teach. The stuff you can, you're just adding to a pretty finished product physically. And so we have to help him mentally, positionally, add on to what he already brings to the game physically.
All right, that was our final question. So Coach Pierce, thank you for your time. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Media members, thank you for joining. We will be in touch soon about tomorrow's lineup, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much.
I have one more thing. Make sure you tell people to come out to our holiday relief food drive this Saturday at the, I got to think of where it is, the Gateway Center Arena, where our Skyhawks play. Giving out food. Let people know.
Will do.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right, definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, guys.
You got it.